and welcome to bexbugoutsurvivor. We are looking at the Get Home bag, and bexbugoutsurvivor strives to find you alternatives to the mainstream thinking. Now, if that's not you, just bugger off, go watch somebody else. If you want to know some out of the box thinking and some tricks, tips, and listen to the rationale and logic behind why some of the kit is in this pack, stay here. So who am I to tell you anything? One, I'm not going to tell you anything. I'm only going to demonstrate and give you my opinions, my thoughts. As where really I shouldn't. I should just be one of these YouTube know-it-alls, you know, all the gear, no idea, and they never explain anything. So first of all, the pack. I've managed to get everything I need with space to spare in 25 litres. It's 25 litres including 2 side pockets and a top hood. You might have different kit you want to put in, and that literage will change accordingly. It's not one size fits all world, guys. We're not all going to have the same kit. We're not all going to have the same bag. We don't have to either, by the way. This British Army Crow pack, it's all I need. Right, the philosophy. A Get Home bag is exactly what it sounds like. Getting home, 24 hours. I need to be warm, dry, sheltered, well fed for 24 hours. So not a bug out bag. Bug out means you're going out away from home for about 3 days with the intention of returning. If you're not returning, you're going to need an inch pack. Inch, I'm never coming home. This is 24 hours. You're trying to get somewhere. You've got 24 hours to do it, and you can pace how many miles you can do in 24 hours. Remember, you're going to be sleeping for a long element of that 24 hours, so you're going to have to do some mathematics, how fast you can walk, etc. I've paced myself. I know how far I can travel. I know how many hours in a day I can achieve, and I'm basing that on obviously how fast I can walk, my age, injuries, etc. So perhaps this is going to be the contentious part of the video. During that 24 hours I need some sleep. Here's the thing. In the night, temperatures take one hell of a dip. Around 3-4 in the morning, it's going to be the coldest part of that 24 hours. And I had to try and adapt the pack for that amount of time. Just that hour or two where it's bitterly cold. And I tried everything. Small sleeping bags, blankets, thermal reflectors. I tried everything, didn't work, so I had to change the logic. Now, because I'm road walking, I'll be doing all my road walking in the night when it's dark. I don't have to worry about trying to keep myself warm when it hits at 3-4 o'clock in the morning. Walking in itself will keep you warm, so I'm going to need some good mapping gear and a head torch and some illumination from the back of my pack, so I have a lot of high visibility. Unlike a bug out bag where I'm trying to hide out, I need big visibility. I know the mileage I can cover in 12 hours and 8 hours, so this bag is covering that amount of time. During that really cold time in the middle of the night, I will be doing my walking. The walking, remember, will be road walking. I've been walking 8 hours. I know how many miles I've covered. I'll have to maybe walk another 8 hours the following day. So it's just one night's sleep. The sun is coming up, like it is now, early morning. I know now that the temperatures are coming up, not going down. I have walked, keeping myself warm through that cold spell, 3-4 in the morning. I'm changing what I do. I've been a night owl walking. Now I'm going to be like a sloth. I'm just going to mong out in my bivvy in the daytime. I'm going to find a nice sunny spot so I won't be cold. So just changing your mentality is going to change what is dictated in the pack. But for me, the only way I could really counter that cold spell without a sleeping bag is by walking. It won't hurt you, won't kill you, keep you warm though. In the daytime is when I'm sleeping. Maybe I'll try and get 4 or 5 hours, but it'll be sunny. I'm not fearing that cold snap, and I can just bed down for a bit. Because I'm road walking, I need good illumination. Now, I'm not going to show you the illumination. Perhaps a head torch, a flashlight, something you trust. Find a space for it in the pack. Why am I not showing you a flashlight? It's too subjective. People have different ideas of what a good head torch is. So I'm going to leave that up to you. I have other videos where I show these things. So I'm sleeping in the day, and I'm going to show you what I've got for it. Insulation underneath is IOU, in, under and on. Okay, IOU. This is what I'm sleeping on. It's an air pad. This is 3/4 length by Multimat. They're all lighter on the market, and maybe you'd be better off with something lighter, because you are carrying this for 2 snaps of 8 hours, 16 hours in total. But for me, that's doable because I haven't overloaded the pack. Another point of contention, mapping gear. So in here, a Ziploc bag with a map and a compass. How the hell do I know where and when I'm going to need this bag? How the hell do I know where and when I'm going to break down? This map only shows a small part of somewhere I'd go trekking and hiking. It's quite a big bit. But if I'm in Wales, which I am, and I break down in Scotland, miles away, this map does not cover that area. I cannot have a map. This is an OS map, by the way, Ordnance Survey, which is exceedingly detailed, but absolutely useless if it doesn't cover the area I am in. So I would perhaps regrettably saying I'm going to have to rely on my cell phone, and you need your cell phone for mapping. So therefore, perhaps I would need a power bank and a cable to make sure that my battery is topped up to use such an OS online map. So consider that. And these are considerations. I'm not telling you what to do. Let's have a look at what I have. Stowed everything in the dry sack. I've got some bits to pull out before I can get to the dry sack. Like I said, nighttime hiking, I have a bright pack cover. This is by 𝑬𝑿𝑚𝑬𝑵. It's yellow. And also I'll be using the flashlight, which has a red flasher strapped around the back of my pack. So maybe I've got a couple of sources of illumination, one for the back of my pack and one on my head. Waterproof trousers. I do not want to get into my sleep system with wet legs. Now these are pack lights, but a trusted pair of waterproof leggings. Keep your legs dry. As soon as it starts raining, these go on. I drop my pack off my back, quickly get these on. Don't leave it till last minute till you got wet legs and take them out and put them on wet legs. That doesn't work. Too many people do that. They think it's just a shower, it'll stop in a minute. And then it doesn't stop, it gets worse. Now you've got wet legs. Wet equals cold, guys. Wet equals cold. What else? This is a bivvy bag. This is what I'll be sleeping in to keep the wind off and to keep some drizzly rain off. In fact, it'll keep quite a lot of rain off. You can use a British Army sleeping bag cover, a bivvy bag. They're Gore-Tex. They're also heavy. They're also quite bulky. I've opted for a trekking one. Now this is thermal lined, reflective there, and it has a nylon shell, a centre zip which I can zip down the middle, and it's hooded also. It's not going to be the only source of my shelter. I'm going to look around. I'm going to find somewhere a little more enclosed, a little more shelter. Under a tree would be great. Remember, I can always turn my bivvy bag upside down and use a hood like a face shield. Okay, now this in itself will preclude me from needing a tarp or a basher above my head. Now you might not like that idea and you want to have something over your head, you go for it, put it in your pack. But what I have in the top of my pack, if I did want a head shelter, is a little poncho, which is the second part of my rain protection for my top half. Remember, we got the leggings, now we're looking at my top half. Bringing a poncho instead of a rain jacket means I've got that overhead canopy shelter if you are quite insistent you need one. This can also be a ground cloth. Then I can put my air mat on. Remember, you can use foam if you want to use foam, but foam is colder, and an air pad, you know, it fits in the pack and it's warmer. Being warm is key here. Let me take this off. It's not even the best poncho, and I don't pretend it is. All the times I've been using it, it's been just fine. What it is a bit of rain protection, and I don't sweat out in it when I'm walking like I do in a rain jacket. Plus it's multifunctional. Okay, so you do have a rain canopy if you want to make it into a basher. You can wear it, you can put it on the deck. What is it I am going to use to keep me warm inside the bivvy? This is the thing. This also has to be multifunctional. I've just taken this out of my pack, and let's have a look at what it is I'm going to use to keep me warm while I'm sleeping. Remember, I'm sleeping in the daytime, not the night time, so I'm not worried about hitting the lower temperatures. It's already as cold as it's going to be. I did think about a sleeping bag. The only sleeping bag along with the kit I could find was my jungle sleeping bag, British Army. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. Instead, I've opted for a 𝒃𝒆𝒙𝒃𝒖𝒕🔬 jacket. Okay, so I'll be sleeping in my jacket. That is my insulation. Remember, when I'm walking, I might not even have this jacket on. Walking alone keeps you warm. Believe me, I have been walking, and you'll see it in my other videos, especially my night camp videos, where I'm walking in just a t-shirt and something like my poncho to keep the rain off. I'm only ever cold when I stop. I put this on. When I'm due to walk again, I take this off and I walk. Other people might argue I'll be better regulated with merino wool. I'm not trekking, guys. I am night walking. I am quite warm. I'm quite warm just in my t-shirt and something like a poncho to keep the rain off. But I do appreciate the argument of whether you should wear merino wool or whether you should have a fleece, whether you should have this, that, the other. This is 𝒃𝒆𝒙𝒃𝒖𝒕𝒔𝒖𝒓𝒄 Apex insulation. I think it's about 67. I have been warm in this with only a t-shirt on as a cold sleeper down to 0 and below. Again, if you don't believe me, videos on it. That's all I've had on. I'm going to be plenty warm inside that bivvy. Plenty warm. Inside the pockets are other things to keep me warm. In this pocket here, I have a pair of gloves, and in the other side, in the other pocket, I have a hat. With that acrylic hat, I tested it by dipping it into a stream, and it was cold. Once it was wet out, I put it on my head just to test out how quick it would dry out. I put a cold wet hat on my head and it was dry in 2 minutes and warm. So for me, that acrylic hat works brilliantly, and I'm hoping those acrylic gloves would also. So there is my insulation. It's daytime now, remember, when I'm getting my head down for a bit. I'm going to get my head down for as long as I can, as long as I can. I'm still going to need something to eat and something to drink, and there are a plethora of alternative ways to keep yourself fed. So I'm only going to show you briefly what I'm using, and I'm going to throw in some other options you might consider. So if you don't like my options, change them out for yours. There's no need to lose your shit in the comments and getting so angry. Use your common sense. We're eating. I've chosen 2 meals, a breakfast and something to eat right before bed. My bedtime is when the sun's coming up. The same philosophy applies. I've allocated space in my pack for food. You can have freeze-dried meals. I just need to add hot water. If I need to add hot water to make a meal, I need the ability to carry water and to boil water. I saw another guy's video. He bought MREs, meals ready to eat, and he didn't have anything such as a cook pot, but he bought those bags that you slip in a little bit of water in, and the ration pack heaters. Okay, so you're not even bringing a stove. It's to bring your MREs and eat them cold. I'm not prepared to do that. I want as many warm calories inside me as I can while I'm sleeping. It'll keep me warmer. Hot food keeps you warmer. Okay, I'm having hot. You can have yours cold. So whether it's freeze-dried, dehydrated, or that needs to be considered. But we come to water now because I am going for freeze-dried. Because I'm carrying water anyway, I need a vessel to carry the water and a vessel to sterilise water. I can sterilise water by bringing sterilising tablets that I put in the steel Nalgene, and we'll come to why it's steel and not plastic in a minute. But a lot of you on the channel will already know the tricks and tips I use one of them for. Another alternative, a plastic bottle. You can use a plastic bottle and you can screw on a soya water filter. Now, I considered that, but this comes into play inside my bivvy bag, because if that jacket isn't warm enough, if I need this bag during winter time, and although the sun's up and I'm sleeping in the daytime, and I have the ability to boil water with this, because I've got no cup, I'm boiling this, and I've done it before and I've proved it before. You can put this onto your stove. It's a slow boil, but yes, you can do it. I can fill hot water into this. This comes inside that bivvy bag with me. I'll get it down by my feet. I'll put it under my neck like that. I'll put it in the sock obviously first, because you're going to scald yourself. It's a hot water bottle. In the bottom is a compartment. I'm going to keep my food there. But I have 2 meals, 2 hot drinks, the ability to cook. I've contemplated gas canisters. I contemplated wood burning stoves. This can be a wood burning stove if you're so inclined. This is why I don't feature those wood stoves. This is the old 𝑗𝑐𝑖𝒕𝒔𝒖𝒕𝒔𝒖𝒓𝒄𝒄. Now, I haven't bought the 𝑗𝑐𝑖𝒕🔂 with me, it's in another pack, but this can be turned this way round with a block here, and my Nalgene sits on top. It takes a whole hexamine cube to boil that, but I do have the ability to sterilise water and heat water for a meal. Now, that is only a consideration. I might even swap out to MREs and ration pack heaters. I haven't decided. This isn't going to be the only lighter. It's going to be a backup, a substitute. Put a few in. I always forget these. A spoon. Make sure you got something to eat your damn food with. Before I go to sleep, remember I'm sleeping in the day, same applies at night, a warm drink. Get yourself fed and watered, as we call it here, before you hit the hay. You need a hot drink. That could be hot chocolate, it could be a tea bag. This is a malted milk drink. It doesn't need sugar, and I bought a 3-in-1 coffee for the morning. Give me some pep. This is a freeze-dried meal, not to be confused with dehydrated. Okay, freeze-dried. This is just add hot water. Hence me having the Nalgene. I have the ability. This is 1,000 calories, quite a big, this is vegetable chicken and tikka. I'd pressed the wrong button and ordered vegetable, but I don't mind it. I've had it before, it's nice. So an evening meal and a morning meal. Now remember, I am sleeping in the day, so before bed I'll be having the main meal, and then at night before I do my road walking, hot cereal. I'm changing what is daytime and what is nighttime. I'm changing that up, and you can use whatever you want, whether it's MREs, put MREs in. If you want a ration pack heater, put a ration pack heater in. If you want a wood burning stove, put a wood burning stove in. If you want gas canisters, put yourself a gas canister in. These things here can be quite a controversial topic on YouTube. I had one guy watch my video, he made his own video, and he, you know, a bit of a know-it-all. And he says, I've got an Israeli bandage in mine and I've got a tourniquet. Have you? Have you? Well, obviously you've real no knowledge of what it actually takes to use a tourniquet. Here's the thing, I'm going to be brutally honest here with you. Every soldier has a tourniquet, and it is applied very high up. So even if I've slit my wrist open, it is applied very high up next to my heart. Now, if you don't believe me and you want to argue any point, guess what? You've used the internet to get this far to watch this part of the video. You can also use the internet to do a bit of research. So you don't have to take my word for it. I don't have a tourniquet TQ in any of my packs. Once you have that TQ in the battlefield, you've applied it. Behind you, not more than 500 meters away, is the field medic. He has a big backpack and he hasn't got a sleeping bag in his. He has got a full field trauma kit. TQs are for short-term measures. You've got about 20 minutes to 25 minutes before you need a hospital and further treatment. Any more than 25 minutes, that TQ could actually do more damage than good. So if you have one of these TQs, tourniquets, I know in America you pronounce them tourniquets. It comes from the French word tourniquet, so Brits follow the French pronunciation, tourniquet. Yeah, if you have one, out camping, fell walking, anything, you have got exactly 30 minutes from applying one to get yourself to a hospital. Exactly 30 minutes. Any more than that, you're doing yourself damage. Is it best to have one and never need one? Perhaps. It'll certainly do you no harm putting one in, but it will do you harm having one on longer than you need it. Remember, you won't have a field medic 500 yards behind you, 500 meters behind you. You just won't. So all these smart arses who make videos, I've got an Israeli bandage and a tourniquet and it's all I need. Well, let's hope that idiot is 30 minutes from a hospital then. Really, 30 minutes from an air evac, 30 minutes from the field medic arriving. That is the reality of a trauma pack. This isn't a trauma pack. This is first aid. What am I likely to bump into and need when I'm road walking? Twisted ankle, I need support. A cut and abrasions, little suture kits, they're sticky. It's not needle and thread. I might be very dehydrated. I'm going to have some fluids, some powders in there to rehydrate. Blisters is going to be a big thing. Blister care. All things allocated to what it is I'm doing. I am not worried about blowing an arm off and blowing a leg off. It's very unlikely you will ever need anything like that. You'll never find a trekker. People who go from one side of the country to the other side of the country, even if it takes 3 months and you do it in one go, you'll never find a trekker. That's what trekking is. You'll never find a trekker with a tourniquet. Seriously, you just won't. Bug out survival channels. who base their kit on British Army will always put one in. Like I said, make sure you're 30 minutes away from a bloody hospital then. It's the truth. People think they're going to put one on, and even if they slit their wrist, they're putting these things on too low. It goes up here next to your heart. Even if you go through an artery on your ankle, it would be here, top of your leg, closest part to your heart. Then your field medic would usually come along and give you morphine for the pain. Get a pen and write a capital M showing an evac team that you've had morphine. The evac team would come along, usually in the form of a helicopter, and get you to a field hospital. Seriously, tourniquets, they can be a dangerous thing. What are you going to put in here? I've got things for a twisted ankle, I've got electrolyte fluids to get my energy up, I've got things for blisters, and I do have a suture pack in here if I do slit myself open but not gone through an artery. Chances are it's a flesh wound, it needs stitching, and no, I'm not Rambo, I haven't got a needle and thread. What I've got instead are those little sticky sutures, and I've used them before and they work well actually. And then obviously sterilising and things like that. I'm not going to do a full video on first aid and medical. Know the difference between first aid and trauma. A bug out bag will have a trauma pack, and then a field pack will have something like that, same as for trekking. I'm going to put it in my crow pack. This is for just getting home. Bought myself a little bag as well. I can put water in that if I wanted extra water. I could put my rubbish in that, and inside that you could put yourself some Oasis water sterilisation tablets like that. Put that there. Is he okay? He is, isn't he? Wow, he towers me. Yeah. I'll have a selfie with him.
Yeah, get in there.
Am I alright to put this on YouTube? Have I got your permissions?
Yeah.
Yeah? You're okay with it? Okay, thanks a lot then. Alright, ta-ra now. Well, that's the last thing I expected. Aren't they lovely? Big horses. They were big, they were tall. So, this is my get home bag. I'm basing it on around 20 miles. I've got enough food in here to cover me for 24 hours. And then in that 24 hours, I want to be hitting around 20 miles. If I'm going to cover more than 20 miles, I'm going to double up on the food. If you want to make it a 40-mile pack, you're going to have to look at, seriously, 20 miles a day is a lot. Especially if you're uninitiated. As a trekker who treks, even at my age, and I'm quite fit, a bit slow walking, but I've got a lot of stamina, a lot of endurance. I can manage to walk all day, but it's even hard going then. So don't get bogged down with, yeah, I can do this, I can do that. Test it out, see how far you get, see how hungry you are, see how cold you are. Test everything out. All this has been tested and is only right for me. And like I said, because it's right for me doesn't mean it's right for you. You might want a foam pad because you don't want the weight of this insulated pad here. You might not want a jacket, you want a sleeping bag. Believe me, I've tried. Even with the jacket in and everything I need, it's pretty lightweight. I could walk a long way. The way I've decided to use this is to use right on the top of my shoulders. I bumped it very high up. I don't want it dragging near my buttocks. It's right up here. Eventually it'll start hurting my neck here, so I'm going to loosen it off when that happens and drop it down towards my backside. So carry it high, loosen it off if you get any discomfort. It's a simple technique, but this, I could walk 20 miles easily. I could get a bit of speed up even, it's that light. It's only this light because I have a Climb-Shield Apex insulation. I have the same Climb-Shield Apex insulation in my sleeping bags. I've got it in my jacket. I absolutely love Climb-Shield Apex insulation. I am a cold sleeper. I trust nothing else other than that. And there are a lot of other sleeping bags on the market. Always check the insulation. If you've never heard of it before, research it, like Pongu insulation. Well, that's something a company has just made up, and they'll tell you it's the best insulation on the market. Of course they tell you that. They're trying to sell you something. Do your research. Do your research on everything that I've shown you here as well, but make sure you're well fed, you're insulated and you're dry. Now the only thing I have changed is when I'm sleeping and when I'm walking. So I've negated that cold spell 3-4 in the morning that I've knocked on the head. I'll be walking during them times. I might start my walk somewhere around midnight, maybe 1 in the morning. Walk my 8 hours or 6 hours, whatever you can manage. And then the sun's coming up. I'm gonna boil up some water, get some breakfast, and then jump into my reflective bivvy. Bring an army bivvy if that's what you want to do. Just make sure you're insulated. I've got that bottle as well, which is Nalgene. I can boil up water, put it in my sleeping bag with me, or in my bivvy in my case, and I'm warm. So it's a different way of thinking, it's a different way of doing the same thing. In this video I've explained the logic behind everything I'm doing. Okay, if you want to change elements of what it is you're using and packing is on you, and it's fine. Don't be swayed one way or the other. Adapt to what fits you. And I'm leaving it here. Have a think about everything I've said, because what works for me might not work for you. There is no right and wrong way. I've worked on this pack for the past 4 or 5 months, getting things in, out, testing. What food shall I take? What insulation? What rain protection? It's all tested. I haven't just put this pack together this morning and decided to do a video. It is tested. I know I can walk a good 8 hours with a reasonably light pack, having a break every hour, a little sit down for 5 minutes, and then I'm off again. So for God's sake, just don't watch a YouTube video, replicate exactly what that person's using and think it's going to be okay for you. Trial and testing. Until next time, take good care of yourself, and as usual, happy trails.